States.
As U.S. and Israeli forces continue to pound Iran, the radical Islamic regime has elected a new leader. He is the son of the previous leader who was killed in a U.S. bombing. Nathan Sales, former State Department counterterrorism coordinator, says for this new leader, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Well, I think the Iranian regime is doubling down on its failed strategy of trying to defy and wage war on the United States and the West. This is an establishment choice. He may not have been the consensus frontrunner, but picking the son of the old leader signals continuity. And it's very much a meet the new boss, same as the old boss type situation.
At least 3 sources within the U.S. government say Russia has helped Iran in the war by providing intelligence about the locations of U.S. forces. But U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Michael Waltz, says Russia is losing its influence in the Middle East.
Russia has now lost its largest manufacturer and supplier of drones, these Shahed drones that have been so devastating. Oh, by the way, so have the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, and everyone else. Russia's also lost a supplier of ballistic missiles. So that symbiotic relationship has to break. Special Envoy Witkoff has delivered a very tough message. And at the end of the day, this kind of axis of evil is going to be broken.
Democrat Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs facing backlash after she vetoes a bill creating a state specialty license plate in memory of the late conservative icon Charlie Kirk. The governor said the bill falls short of the goal of bringing people together. Arizona State Senator Jake Hoffman sponsored the bill and had this response to the governor.
Well, listen, the only thing that falls short, unfortunately, is Katie Hobbs's track record actually trying to unite the people of Arizona. Look, Charlie Kirk was an incredible man. There's no doubt that he was a uniter. He was someone who championed free speech, and he was a civil rights leader of our time.
America turns 250 this July, and one thing pro-lifers don't want to see happen is Congress giving a present to Planned Parenthood.
In 2025, conservatives cut off federal Medicaid funding to Planned Parenthood through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The effort was only temporary, and there is now an expiring funding ban set to lapse this Independence Day without further congressional action. Madeline Alfonso of Advancing American Freedom said Planned Parenthood does not need taxpayer dollars.
So many Americans today are pro-life and do not support abortion and are proud members of the pro-life movement. And so this is upsetting and not fair that their tax dollars are having to pay for something that they morally detest. And so that's why it's really important that we are not funding Planned Parenthood with our tax dollars.
Now, the Hyde Amendment prevents the use of federal funds from going towards abortion. Planned Parenthood claims to use Medicaid funds for preventative services such as cancer screenings, STI tests, and contraception. But people in the pro-life movement argue that Medicaid funds help ensure that Planned Parenthood has the other funds needed for abortions.
Congress needs to pass a reconciliation bill in order to make sure that this funding ban continues. People need to stand up, Congress needs to stand up, and we need to fight for life.
I'm Chris Woodward.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
The loss of a child through abortion, miscarriage, or stillbirth affects the emotional health of families. Feelings of anger, sadness, and regret can be overwhelming. There is hope and healing in the aftermath of a reproductive loss. Call the International Helpline at 866-482-LIFE to talk with someone who has been where you are and healed to help others. Your call is confidential. 866-482-LIFE.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Monday, March the 9th, 2026, and we thank you for listening to AFR. Joining me in studio for the show today is Tony Vitagliano. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning.
And Fred Jackson.
Good morning, Tim.
Is it just us three?
Just us three?
Nobody, is Frank Turek on today or anybody? Just so it's up to us three to carry the show.
Just the three of us.
Just the three of us. Yeah, that was a song said Said
Yeah.
it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
But,
So I was going to see.
I
Anybody
think it
would
was-
catch on to that.
I think that
Just
was
throw
George
one out there.
Benson, but I'm not sure exactly who that was.
But he
exactly.
didn't say the Carpenters.
No, Chris Woodward would be here to everything
He
we
would
say.
say- he would set the
Every
record.
time we have a '70s song and Chris has no idea who sings it, he jumps out there with the Carpenters, hoping to impress
Carpenters.
us. Yeah, when I'm going, no, that's Led Zeppelin.
Well, that's like my wife. My wife's
not
a
the
country
Carpenters.
music fan, and so she
Your
knows
wife
all.
what now?
My wife's a country music
Okay,
fan.
yeah,
She knows
okay.
all old
Yeah.
songs, new songs.
Oh yeah.
So she'll ask me, do you know who this is singing when we hear? And of course, I
Have no clue.
So it's always Randy Travis. It's always my answer, and sometimes I get it right.
Yeah, that's
sometimes I
right.
don't.
10% chance
Yeah,
of getting
yeah.
it right. All right. Well, your dad tells the story. Ed does about his dad, your grandfather, growing up in Boston, and so they're New Englanders. And your granddad would he liked him some Hank Williams.
Okay.
I just thought that it just sounds funny.
It
to
is,
say
yeah.
A Boston guy's
Boston.
tuning in to your cheating heart. Something. Hank Williams back in the day. When they called it country and western. That's back when they called
That's
it
right.
country and
That's right.
western. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody, to the program. Fred, we got a lot happening in the news, right?
Yeah, let's talk about first those who have given their lives in this battle so far. A 7th U.S. soldier now has been identified, having been killed. This young man, Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, 26 years old, of Glendale, Kentucky, died from wounds over the weekend after he was injured in the initial days of the attack. He was part of a contingent of our soldiers in Saudi Arabia. And of course, during the weekend, there was a return of the bodies of the 6 soldiers who died in Kuwait. So this is something that we need to be mindful of, that we do have soldiers, and all 7 of these died in the very initial hours, in the first 48 hours of this battle, when Iran started firing missiles into those countries that are on the western side of the Persian Gulf. And that's going to be one of the big stories, I think, coming out of this war, is that Iran is isolating itself by attacking other countries in the Persian Gulf. Something that you would not have heard of, but let's remember the families of these loved ones that have been paid the ultimate price. This young man, Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, was injured in the attack but passed away just yesterday.
These were the drone attacks by Iran, or these missile attacks on Iran?
Some of them have been,
right?
it's a combination of drone attacks and missile attacks. It just goes, and even this morning, just before we came on the air, the sirens were going off in Tel Aviv again. Over the weekend, Secretary of War Hegseth said at least 3,000 targets have been hit in the first week of this battle. But the Iranians still have a stockpile of missiles, and they are still a factor to be dealt with. 3,000 sounds impressive, but it just goes to, many people may think of Iran as somewhat unsophisticated militarily speaking. Don't think that.
No.
It's a country of 90 million people. They have very smart people in their military.
Except in their Navy.
Their Navy is...
Navy's at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
It is. And also, with regards to Israel, they are still facing missiles from Hezbollah
Right.
in Lebanon, which has forced the Israeli army now to put boots on the ground, at least in southern Lebanon.
Yeah.
So this is not over yet, far from it. But, we are, when I say we, the Trump administration is optimistic. They say they are doing well. And whatever it takes, they will continue the battle until there is surrender.
Let me ask you a question, if you guys know the answer to this. Is the United States flying sorties off our carriers, or are we only firing from these ships in the ocean, and the Israelis are doing all the sorties?
I think it's a combination.
It's
right?
a combination. We use the carriers to launch our fighter jets.
Okay.
We have destroyers that are sending missiles in.
And we're also at this point probably flying from our airfields in the surrounding allied nations from our bases.
That's why they're firing at them then, Iran. Okay, so Iran fires at Saudi Arabia. This is where this young man was killed, right?
That is
you
correct.
mentioned earlier.
That is correct.
So Iran, at least initially, was firing at our bases stationed in the Gulf, in that surrounding area of Iran. Most of the Arab country states, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and so I'm assuming Iran would say, okay, well, you're allowing the U.S. to bomb us from your country. You're fair game.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's what the?
I think that's what they're. I think that's their mentality is just to lash out as a final gasp, lash out at whoever they can to try and inflict whatever damage they can. From the reports I've heard, just from comments from the Trump administration and military officials, we've pretty much, Fred, established aerial control over a good chunk of Iran, at least. I don't know about the entire country. So right now, it's just a matter of playing whack-a-mole, so to speak. Anytime one of these launchers pops up, and starts shooting ballistic missiles or starts, launching drones for incursions, it's just a matter of getting air support over there to kind of bomb them and take them out. But like you said, they had such a stockpile, just preparing for this moment for decades, that it is gonna take some time to clear.
How long does they keep going though? Because yes, they might have a stockpile, but their country's been absolutely devastated. I mentioned the Navy. Iranian Navy is been wiped out. I don't know how many ships. Dozens and dozens of ships have been and they just seem to be offering no real strategic response to the United States Navy over there. I mean, nobody's hit our battleships or our carriers. They seem unable or ill-equipped or inept. I'm not sure what the right to respond to the U.S. I know that the U.S. brought overwhelming military, but you're on their home turf.
Yeah,
the Iranians. But the Israelis came over with 200 jets, I read, and just swarmed them.
Yes.
And just and now an oil refinery's been hit over there. Did you guys see this? Now, this brings up a very interesting question because you have to say, well, what is your end goal? Okay, what's the end game? You mentioned whack-a-mole, Tony. Now we have the newest mole. Is the Ayatollah, his son? What's his name?
Mojtaba Khomeini.
And he's been elected the new leader.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing these days.
No, I wouldn't want to be. I would just listen. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and we were texting back and forth. My brother. We can be rather cynical. And I said, if I'm this new fella, the son of the Ayatollah. I would have just said, listen, guys, I am young and inexperienced.
right.
I am ill-qualified for this job, but I appreciate your confidence in me, but I'm just going to have to decline, and I got a bad back.
At this point.
I'm not going to – I'm going to have to refuse. It's not that I'm worried about being targeted in the next 55 minutes by the U.S. or the Israelis.
Yeah.
My lifespan is about, an hour and a half from now. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah,
I don't mean to make fun of war.
No, I know. At this point, it probably is like being in a room and everybody draws straws, and I think this guy probably drew the short straw. And I mean, with the air defenses pretty much wiped out for Iran, Israel and the Mossad and their special forces and the IDF, they were capable of infiltrating before when Iran was attacked. They're going to have even more infiltration ability now that their defenses have been degraded so much. So I don't think they'll have any problem tracking this guy down and locating him, if he's
probably
even
know
still
where
in
he
the
is
country
now.
at this point.
We heard this morning on our newscast from Dr. Ramesh Shepard of the Organization of Iranian American Communities, and he says this new guy will be no more popular than the last one. Cut number 3.
I think we've made a full circle back to the 1979 where the struggle hasn't finished, because right now what we saw and what we see with Mojtaba, he is now the Ayatollah king of Iran, and this is why the Iranian people are in the streets and have been in the streets shouting down with the dictators, be it the king or the Ayatollah. So, and last night even people took to the streets saying down with Mojtaba. So I think the message here is that the regime has signaled the world that it's going to gear up for more repression. IRGC is going to gear up for more terrorism. And this is a full message of delegitimized regime that has been weakened at home and has been rejected in its entirety by the people of Iran. Nothing comes out of this regime that will be in favor of the Iranian people. And that's why we have to shift our focus to their call for regime change.
Yeah, and that's, we're getting to the point fairly quickly, I might add, to, okay, what is the end game? President Trump, our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, have been asked about this. What is the end game? President Trump in particular is coming around to saying, well, there's got to be a change in leadership. Although initially, on the front end of this talk was to make sure Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. But now it is coming down to there's got to be a change in leadership in this. So last evening, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, was on CBS. He was asked by reporter Major Garrett about the talk about boots on the ground. Here's what he had to say, cut number 6.
People ask boots on the ground, no boots on the ground, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, go in, go in. President Trump knows, I know, you don't tell the enemy, you don't tell the press, you don't tell anybody what your limits would be on an operation. We're willing to go as far as we need to in order to be successful.
Do we have any overt or covert forces inside Iran now?
I wouldn't tell you that if we did.
Only reason I ask is earlier this week you said no. Is that still the answer?
Yeah, that's still the answer, but we reserve the right. We would be completely unwise if we did not reserve the right to take any particular option, whether it included boots on the ground or no boots on the ground.
President Trump was asked the same question on Air Force One last night. Initially said no, but then. So they're hedging their bets. They don't want to be tied, their hands tied. But this would be a different message than what we heard at the beginning of this. No boots on the ground.
I don't see that happening. I can understand the answer by Pete Hegseth and President Trump because he's right. You don't want to tip off the Iranian regime with what you're going to do or what you're taking off the table, because if they go sit in the room and they go, well, the Americans said they're not bringing in troops, so we don't have to plan for that. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think it would be a disaster, except for maybe some special ops situation where you're in and out in an hour or two, or for a particular mission, but not bringing in waves like Normandy or something like that to storm the shores of Iran. Tony.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this though. I think, in my opinion, the longer that this continues and the longer the Iranian regime stays in power and maintains its control over the country, it seems to me that would increase the odds of there needing to be some type of ground incursion. And I think that's why the Trump administration, Pete Hegseth, and Trump himself are kind of hedging themselves, because there's only so much you can do. If there isn't a coup in the IRGC, if the people aren't able to push, this oppressive regime out without weapons right now, that's how they're protesting, then there would be no way to topple it completely. And the time frame, I don't know if we would wait for the time frame for it to collapse in on itself. That to me, the longer it goes on, I'll just simplify.
Yeah.
The longer it goes on, it seems more likely that we are involved on the ground in some level, whether it's special forces, like you said, or hopefully never some type of full ground invasion. But
you're listening to the radio program Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim with Tony and Fred about this situation with I call it a war. I call it a war with a small w because it's not an officially declared war that we have here. Mm-hmm. Some would call it a conflict. I don't know what do we call Vietnam? Anyway,
I don't know what we called it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some in the Trump administration are resisting the word.
The military operation.
Military operation.
Yeah.
But war is what's going on with the capital. I mean, with a small w at least. So here's a situation. I'll try to put it so the average person out there can understand it, because I'm an average person and I understand it. I think what you got going on here, you have a stalemate. The regime, the Ayatollah, and the mullahs, the religious Islamic leaders who control the country of Iran and have since the Shah was overthrown in 79, they still have control of the people who carry guns. Mm-hmm. Okay, the people who carry guns are in the streets monitoring and suppressing any kind of an uprising. How do they do that? Well, they shoot people dead.
Yep. They
come out of their house. They say, hey, I'm against the regime. Okay, you're dead. Yep. And maybe your family. This is how totalitarian governments, dictatorships operate, and this is no different, and have throughout history. You just use physical intimidation. It's like a mob runs a neighborhood. You're gonna oppose the mob. You're gonna be sleeping with the fishes, right? That's what they say. So you got the same situation. So the people that went out and protested, they got so angry and so mad at the Ayatollah regime that many of them lost their lives because they were. Some reports 30,000 people were killed in the last 6 months trying to resist. So they don't have guns.
No.
They don't have organization. Now the internet's been turned off over there by the regime, so they're in the dark unless they have some kind of special way to get around that. I know that Elon Musk offered his Starlink to help some of them out, the people in Iran. So they can't. It's hard for them to organize, is what I'm going to say. And when they do organize, they better not be found out by the regime. So while the regime, the Islamic Ayatollah, the regime is, yes, they've been decapitated, so to speak, by the United States and the Israelis in terms of so many of their leaders, but their military, as I say, they still have guns, and they're still answering to, they're still taking orders from the mullahs, the Ayatollah.
Yeah.
So it's a situation where maybe it'll reach critical mass between the people and the regime, and then you'll have a bloody civil war out on the streets in Tehran. Right now, I was reading about the people there. Basically, are they're glad that the regime is gone. The masses are, but they're still in fear because they were saying I read a first-hand account of this from an Iranian living there. They said we're glad the Americans and the Israelis did what they did. But it's still a situation where we go to the store, we get our groceries, and we come home, and we stay inside because it's kind of like COVID, except in this situation there are men roaming the streets with guns, and if there's any sign of an uprising, or if you have a hint of you being in support of overthrowing the regime, you're a target by the military / secret police or open police, and so that's the situation. And again, I don't know where that's a tension that exists that's going to have to express itself, and solve itself in some way so soon, seems to me.
Well, Pete Hegseth in that interview last night with CBS basically said nothing less than unconditional surrender, cut number 5.
President said recently there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. What does that look like, unconditional surrender? How will you know it's real?
It means we're fighting to win. It means we set the terms. We'll know when they're not capable of fighting. There'll be a point where they'll have no choice but to do that. Whether they know it or not, they will be combat ineffective. They will surrender.
Typically, the understanding of a surrender is person to person. Is that what would be required in a matter like this?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. Whether they want to admit it or not, whether their pride lets them say it out loud or not, it's President Trump who will set the terms of that.
Okay, one other thing, then I promise you guys can talk on this show.
You're good.
This Ayatollah is really a word that means supreme leader, right? The Ayatollah, the new one, is the son of the one that the Israelis killed a week or so ago.
On day one, yeah.
Okay, so this fellow's name is Khamenei too.
Yes.
Now, is that a title or is that a last name? Do you know? I think that's a title. Do you know? Do you guys know the answer to that?
Not.
Okay, so Ayatollah, and he, how old is he? Like, he looks like he was 50.
He's in his 50s.
And, okay, if he doesn't surrender, and he's going to be killed. Because there's nobody acceptable to President Trump except somebody who is going to reject the mullahs and the teachings of the that he expresses, and so I don't know how this is going to work. How we seem, as I mentioned, we seem to be at a impasse.
Yeah. For informational purpose, Khamenei is a last name.
It is a last name?
It is a last name. So that family, the Khamenei family, is I guess who's maintained that position of authority.
But he holds the same views as his dad did.
Yeah.
And we just killed him and a lot of his leadership. So go ahead.
It's to me, you're right. Your assessment of the stalemate right now is probably close to reality, the reality of the situation. To me, it would take, to break that stalemate, it's going to take some form of military coup. It's going to take somebody, the majority of the IRGC, the lower-ranking officers.
So the military turns on Khomeini.
Yes, and says, enough, we're not doing this.
And then you deal with the military.
We're not cracking down on civilian protests anymore.
Okay.
And that's when you get that kind of springing of democracy. Until that happens, the reality on the ground is people aren't going to come out and protest like they did in mass earlier.
Yeah.
Because, number one, you got people walking the streets, shooting people on sight.
Right.
Number two, it is dangerous. I mean, there are airstrikes coming into Tehran still. You don't want mass casualty events. You don't want to put yourself in danger.
Economically, the price of oil's, we're going to talk about that when we get back.
About that.
Yep.
The price of oil is up to $100.
Over $100
a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean for the gas prices at the pump for Americans?
I can tell you.
Okay,
Yeah.
We'll be back. We'll be back and talk about that because I know the stock market is.
That's not a positive teaser, Fred.
Stock market's kind of nervous.
Yeah.
Right now too, as well. So, all right, we'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
When life deals some people a hard blow, they cry and quit. When life deals others a similar blow, they grit their teeth, dig in with determination, and defeat their defect. History records many such cases where people have overcome tremendous obstacles en route to success. One such example is known by many school children the world over. It's such an inspiring story that it's worth sharing. There was a young Greek boy whose father was very rich. But while the boy was still a lad, his father died, and his wealth was entrusted to 3 guardians. These men proved dishonest and wasted the boy's inheritance. So he knew what it was to grow up absent his father's wealth. This young boy had one burning desire. He wanted to become the greatest speaker that Greece had ever produced. His desire made him look foolish in the eyes of other people because it was the worst possible profession, they thought, for which the boy was suited. The boy's voice was so soft and weak that even in a conversation, people had a difficult time hearing what he said. Many people said his voice was unpleasant and that he spoke in an awkward manner. And to further complicate matters, the boy stammered very badly. He could not even recite a poem without hesitating and stumbling so that people laughed at him. But this young boy practiced. Day after day, month after month, year after year, he practiced. He would climb mountains while practicing his speaking, and in the process he was developing his lungs. Often he would go down to the seashore, put pebbles in his mouth, and practice speaking clearly over the roar of the ocean waves. Before long, his weak voice had disappeared, and he could make himself heard above the roar of the ocean or the noise of an angry crowd. As a young man, the people of Greece recognized him as one of the greatest speakers which they had ever known. Not only could he speak loud and clear, but he could move his listeners to the emotional level he desired. So magnificent was his speaking ability that he could make his audience cry or laugh whenever he so desired. His ability to persuade people practically knew no limits. Many times in life we sell ourselves short, give up too easily. Many times, with hard work and dedication, we can accomplish a goal which seems impossible. Life is kind to a person who has a dream and is willing to put forth his best to make that dream come true. Some 360 years after the death of the man who overcame severe obstacles to become the greatest Greek speaker, a Nazarene carpenter told a group of his followers, "If you have faith as big as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Go from here to there,' and it will go. You can do anything." Well, there have been countless people who have taken that carpenter at his word, and the world will never know how many mountains these people have moved. If life has seemingly cut you short on talents, don't give up. Set your goal and pursue it with the most dedication and ability you have. It will pay a handsome reward. The greatest Greek speaker was Demosthenes. If you've never heard of him, look him up. It's a story worth reading.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
In Him, we were also chosen, having been predestined according to the plan of Him who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of His will. Ephesians 1:11.
American Family Radio. This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
So I went and bought me a couple barrels of oil.
Before or after?
I went down to the oil store. They're like $100 for a barrel. So I'm gonna go home and refine it, so I can save on gasoline.
Refining
what do
your
you
own
think,
oil.
Tony?
It sounds
You
like a smart plan right now.
You want to come over and help me refine
Yeah.
it? Anyway,
got YouTube videos. Show me how to refine it. They'll show
What,
you how to
got
do anything.
Do-it-yourself oil refinery? Oh my goodness! Well, I tell you what is no joke, and that is this price of oil, which I don't follow or quite frankly understand, except that I do know when they say oil goes over $100 a barrel, that means eventually in the next week or two or three, here comes the price increases for people at the pump. Fred, is that what you said?
I wish it would take a week,
you
2
mean
or
it's
3
already
weeks.
here? Okay.
Yeah.
Where I get my gas,
okay,
a little store called Sam's.
Yeah.
It's up about 50 cents.
Since the war started?
Yeah, about 50 cents.
Conflict?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I pass by another gas station in the mornings now on the way to work, and it's about 50, 60 cents there. So that's what. And where we live here in Mississippi, it's still pretty low. Have you seen some of the prices, like in California, what they're paying?
I haven't.
And other states are up around $6 a gallon now already.
What?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
$6 a gallon for gas. Where is that?
I'm just watching it on our TV monitors here. Some of them are $5.50 that we're looking at. But here's we listened this morning to an interview with our Energy Secretary Chris Wright. Here's. It's not that there is a shortage, he says, of oil and gas. It is just the industry is nervous.
Yep.
It's like the stock market. It hates instability.
Yep.
And so the industry is nervous about things. So have a listen to the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, says there's plenty of oil in the pipeline. Cut 8.
Energy markets are massively well supplied right now. In fact, the run-up in prices has nothing to do with any shortage of barrels of oil or natural gas. It's just fear and perception, the unknown, that this could be some long, drawn-out crisis, but it won't be. This is a disruption on the way to a much better place to end a 47-year war against America.
Yeah, I think 20% of the world's oil supply comes out of the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, through the Strait.
But we can take a quick look back in recent history. Venezuela pipelines are now opened up.
Yep.
That's amazing. The sequence of events, and I've been wondering, was there in some room at the White House, the president sits down, early on in this second administration and says, at this date, we're going to do this. At this date, we're going to do this. Venezuela had to come before this.
Right.
And so on and so on. The people that are really hurting from this, you're talking about China in particular.
Yep.
China is hurting because of this.
I haven't heard anything out of them. Are they complaining?
I think they've made
vocally.
statements before.
Usually they're against whatever the U.S. is doing militarily.
I'm sure they made a statement against the operation. But, the other thing people have to realize, too, is the point about this being just solely based off of headlines. I tend to agree with that, is most of the oil that Iran was producing and sending out was trying to get around, was to their allies, like China. And it was done via shadow fleets because they were so heavily sanctioned before. It's not like we were getting Iranian oil, here in the United States, or other countries were getting, who are our allies were getting Iranian oil. They've been sanctioned for years at this point.
All right, let me ask you guys this question. Russia. The accusation has been made that Russia's helping Iran.
Yes.
Militarily.
Mm-hmm.
And, the question about that is, well, is that true? And if so, what do we plan to do about it, if anything, the United States of America? And secondly, I don't understand the connection between Russia and Iran, because Iran is an Islamic, Shia Islamic religious state, and that's what they promote. That's why the pagans, in their views, are the religious, heretics, in their view, would be the great Satan and the little Satan, that is Israel and the United States. I'm talking about from the Iranian perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And Russia's no friend of Iran in the sense that they have anything politically or ideologically compatible, except I guess they're both at war against the West. So is that do you guys? Why would Russia? What would Russia benefit from helping Iran? They got their own problems with the Ukraine war. Tony, figure out that geopolitical problem right there for us.
Well, I think it's a matter of it simply being the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Russia has been isolated from the West, for so long that they have had to look for allies elsewhere, and they've cozied up to Iran and China as their primary allies. And though they're not aligned ideologically, the relationship they have was one out of probably in their view, necessity. So we also have allies. I mean, we can't deny we have allies who aren't ideologically aligned with us. I mean, we're allies with the Saudis, for instance. I mean, so some of that is out of a necessity, but what this looks like going forward, what the relationship between Russia and Iran looks like going forward, I don't know. Once this regime collapses,
they're going to collapse. You think?
I don't see Russia having a whole lot more to do with Iran. Going beyond this.
Our ambassador to the UN, Michael Waltz, talked about this issue of Russia being now involved with this conflict. Cut number 7.
Russia has now lost its largest manufacturer and supplier of drones, these Shahed drones that have been so devastating. Oh, by the way, so have the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, and everyone else. Russia's also lost a supplier of ballistic missiles. So that symbiotic relationship has to break. Special Envoy Witkoff has delivered a very tough message, and at the end of the day, this kind of axis of evil is going to be broken. Iran is no longer going to be a threat and no longer going to be a supplier to China and Russia.
You mean Iran sells weaponry to Russia?
Oh, yeah. They've been doing that since the beginning.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, real cheap. Cheap.
Those Shahed drones.
These drones, compared to a missile, are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And so Russia's been running out of weapons, so Iran has been supplying them.
And we just sank their big battleship out there that was loaded down with these drones.
Yes.
You're looking at the Shahed drones. I've seen different estimates.
What are they
on the
called?
price. Shahed drones. 20 to 30,000 to produce one, versus trying to shoot it down with a missile that costs $3 million. So the math there was obvious for someone like Iran to mass produce these drones. And Russia. I'll say this too. One last thing. Russia. That's the reason why I think they'll kind of drift away from Iran as this conflict drags on, is because now Russia benefits as being one of China's primary sources of oil, with the Strait of Hormuz in conflict and Iran being weakened. So Russia, I could see them drifting away from Iran as this drags on, just because they're kind of benefiting from it.
All right, you're listening to Today's Issues. What you got next, Fred?
Well,
anything else?
Just one more thing on this front. The Keir Starmer, who is the Prime Minister of UK, he is off President Trump's Christmas list.
Doesn't take much.
President Trump is not happy with Starmer.
Okay.
You remember first going off, Starmer denied the United States use of their base in the Indian Ocean. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
This is back a couple weeks ago now. And so President Trump was not happy with that. Now, recently, the Prime Minister Starmer there in the UK said, okay, he's getting some pressure there, some international pressure. Here's what we'll do. We'll send you a couple of our aircraft carriers into the area. And basically, President Trump said, no, thank you. If you're going to help us, you got to do it right from the beginning. Coming in after we've done most of the dirty work is not acceptable. So they had apparently a very, very terse conversation over the weekend. It did not go well.
I can only imagine.
Well, Trump told him, we already won. We don't need your help.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
do you think, Tim, that this has anything to do, because the first thing that came to my mind was why Keir Starmer would kind of flip-flop on this, is because you think it would have anything to do with the fact that there is a large percentage of Muslims within the UK who often go out on the streets and start burning things down.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You think that factors in at all?
Good factor in, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to offer a alternative observation, but I don't necessarily believe what I say. Does that make sense? I'm going to play the devil's advocate. Can I play devil's advocate? I've often said I don't think that's appropriate on Christian radio, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Well,
so we're going to play the adversarial role here.
Yeah, there we go.
If you're the Prime Minister of the UK, that's a sovereign country, Yes, it's our chief ally in the world other than Israel. But if they say, listen, United States, you can do what you got to do, but don't drag us into this thing because we don't agree with going to war with Iran. Okay, if that's the case, then why would you say, but here, use our bases to launch your war against Iran that we don't want any part of? And now they're going to say, Iran's going to say, well, wait a minute. You said you're not a part of this, but here you are letting the Americans attack us from your military bases so they can reach our targets, the targets that they have for us. So I can see if the Prime Minister of the UK, he's just not saying, I'm just not a puppet of the United States. We have our own, our people have their own desires, and I'm not, they're saying that they don't want us to go to war. So you see what I'm saying? I could understand that, but then you got to consider, well, we're going to have to pay the political price for that because you know who we're dealing with. Know who we're dealing with? We're dealing with Trump, President Trump, and he has a tendency. His personality type is to hold grudges, and when he does hold a grudge, he holds it for a long time, usually, until you tell him that you're the greatest president in the history of the world,
right?
And then we'll get back in with his good graces. But I mean, do you see I do see the perspective of the UK Prime Minister if he's only responding to his people's wishes and desires. Does that make sense?
Well, I think Tony hit the nail on the head too. There are over 4 million Muslims now.
Yeah.
There are 6
living in the UK.
The UK.
Yeah.
Good night.
You've got 6 or 7 of the major British cities now have Muslim mayors. So they are a force to be dealt with.
Are we going to have any Brits left in 25 years, 50 years?
I don't know.
Are we going to find anybody still
if they don't do
talking?
something about it, they
That's
won't.
right.
Yeah, there's also, to me, I think our perspective. The United States foreign policy. The reason why we've frowned on this is because of the inconsistency from Keir Starmer on. Okay, you have. There's been no shortage of desire to keep fighting this Ukraine war. I mean, you've been sending armaments, you've been sending whatever, logistics, whatever you can to help Ukraine fight Russia, who is an ally of Iran. Why now do you have some form of hesitancy in supporting us when we're going after one of Russia's primary allies? There's just not, and I think, aside from the 4 million Muslims in your own country aspect, I think they were just wanted to see how it went. I don't think they thought we would be able to do what we did as quickly as we did to Iran. So now that now that the corn has been planted and the ground tilled, and it's coming up, the UK wants to step in and eat something.
Well, they
there's
also
your
had
pig will and pig won't reference.
They
by the
also
way.
had was it Cyprus or was it one of those islands in the Mediterranean that Brits had?
It's Cyprus.
Cyprus.
Yeah.
They were attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Was that confirmed? Did they?
Yes,
okay.
because
They were attacked by Iran.
Believe it or not, Macron, I think, is heading to Cyprus today, the French leader. Just
Now there's a rock right there. I don't mean our rock. I mean a rock of. Talk about a man with a spine of steel.
That's
that
right.
Macron guy from France.
Yeah.
In the finest tradition of the French.
Look, I wasn't going to make the joke. I think you're
right
going to
there.
make the joke.
Living up to the reputation. At one point, I think on the weekend, President Trump referred to Starmer as, he ain't no Winston Churchill.
Right.
I think in President Trump's mind, he's more of a Neville Chamberlain.
Yeah. But, it is a real problem in Europe, and it's sad to say, and I don't know what's going to be the long-term result politically of what, but most Americans don't realize because they don't travel to Europe, but the Europeans, the native Europeans, they're not having children.
Mm-hmm.
The birth rate all over, at least Western Europe, maybe it's different in Eastern Europe, at least in Western Europe, and I'm talking about Greece and Italy and Switzerland and Germany and France and UK and the Scandinavian countries. That's the Western Europe, Spain. They're not having babies. okay, over there, those people. Well, the Muslims have moved in from North Africa and from the Middle East, and guess what? They are having babies, a lot of them. And so you do that math for a few decades out, and you're not going to have any native, the native Europeans are going to be taken over by the Muslims who have immigrated.
And those babies consequently are raised to hate the country that they're living in. And I mean, that's just the fact. They're ideologically
Which is ironic
incompatible.
because they moved there. I know you guys are going to disagree with me on this, probably. I think the motives for people moving to Europe from the Middle East and Northern Africa are not to take over the continent. That's why people don't get on a boat and go, I can't wait for my fourth generation to take over Europe.
Right.
No, most of them are getting on the boats or crossing the Mediterranean or getting to Europe from the Arab world over there, the Muslim world, because they want a better life.
Yeah.
They don't want to live under the suppression, and they see that people are making money, and there being a lot of social welfare programs in wealthy Western Europe countries. This is what they would view it. So it's better to go there. And so now some of them, they're coming to, try to establish a caliphate that is a Muslim domination. But I don't think that's the case for most of them. But still, the net effect is over time is you become a Muslim culture because that's when you get France is already like 10 or 11%, 12% Muslim. You mentioned how many, I don't know what the UK is. It's probably 5% or more. So you're talking about the end of. Seriously, 100 years from now, I don't even know if we'll have Irish or British or Spaniards. If they do, they're going to be little enclaves.
Well, and then the important note on that is they are, a lot of them are fleeing bad situations, terrible economies, terribly run countries.
Right.
And they are coming for a better life to these Western European countries, but they're not coming to embrace the ideas that caused these that was responsible for these Western countries being prosperous. So they want the prosperity and the wealth that comes from it, but they reject the ideas of Western civilization completely. And as a matter of fact, their own ideology dictates that over time we must make these Western countries submit to the Quran and the will of Allah, their God. So
that is the history of Islam. If you look back through it, it's the religion of the sword.
Right.
Okay, that's how you convert or you die. That's how basically your dad knows all this history so well. He can articulate it, but he knows the history of Islam and how they have, how they convert.
How they operate.
How they operate. All right, you're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, you may not have heard because of so much going on in the news, but there was a terrorist attack in this country this weekend.
Where?
In New York City.
New York City.
New York City.
What happened there, Fred?
Well, there was what's being called a Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City protest.
I was there.
Headed up by what's called an influencer, Jake Lang. He's a J6er, but he was there. Some people say he was there to protest that in some parts of New York City now, they are doing the call of prayer over speakers. Anyway, the protest was peaceful up to the point where two young men who have now been arrested, their names are Imar Balet and Ibrahim Kayumi, and they tossed IEDs. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. That's improvised explosive devices. They have nails and other debris inside these bombs. Could have caused a lot of injury. Fox's legal analyst Greg Jarrett was asked about this morning, and he says there is no question what happened in New York on the weekend was terrorism. Cut number 10.
Well, under law, Brian, this absolutely qualifies as an attempted act of terrorism, particularly since the suspects reportedly confessed to police they were inspired by ISIS, and their use of an IED is identical to what terrorists use, an incendiary liquid surrounded, as you point out, by nuts, bolts, and screws that would cause mass casualties. Apparently, the compound in the bombs has been identified as TATP. That is typically used by jihadists. And of course, on video, somebody yelling Allah Akbar, again, a signature of Islamic terrorists before a deadly attack. So the FBI has properly taken the lead here. They're looking into the suspects' overseas travel. Both men spent time in Istanbul last year, one in Saudi Arabia. Perhaps they were elsewhere in the Middle East, and the question is, did they train there or connect with known terrorist groups? But
yeah, they arrested these guys, at least one of them in Pennsylvania. Now, it was interesting how Mayor Mamdani reacted to all of this. Greg Jarrett talked about that.
He's a Muslim himself. So
he's a Muslim. He called the Jake Lang a white supremacist, but didn't talk about terrorism. Cut number 9.
I agree. It's so striking that Mamdani immediately calls out by name the man who organized the protest over public Muslim prayer and denounced him as a white supremacist. Yet the mayor would not describe the suspects
as
who
terrorists.
attempted to bomb the protest and kill people. You know, there's a big difference between a peaceful protester and suspected jihadists who try to kill innocent people. And so that is selective outrage. And of course, it comes on the heels of the discovery that Mamdani's wife liked numerous Instagram posts celebrating the October 7th Hamas attack in Israel. She seemed to justify it. And then the mayor dismisses it, saying, well, she's a private person. Well, no, you're not, if you're publicly glorifying the slaughter of 1,200 people, including 46 murdered Americans and 12 who were taken hostages. Let's not forget that.
Well, listen, you don't want that. The fellow who was there leading the protest, he only had a handful of folks.
Right.
Now, people are maybe getting confused about what the protest here. There was a guy, I forgot his name.
Jake Long.
He had a few people there, and he was protesting Islamic public prayers over the loudspeakers, right?
Correct.
Does he live in New York?
I'm not sure if that's
okay, but anyway, I'm with him on that because you don't want that.
Right.
That you hear that in Jerusalem. You hear in Muslim countries they have this 5 times a day, these loudspeakers with these wailing men's voices, and it's just it's not. You don't want that. Okay, first of all, it violates noise ordinances in cities,
Right.
but it's there to promote Islam. And I don't know this fella who held this rally, but the people came to protest him are the ones who committed the acts of violence because they were the ones using the IEDs.
Yes.
And the controversy is here the mayor won't condemn the Muslims who were throwing IEDs, but he only singles out this fella because he is, quote, white supremacist, which I don't, where did that come from? He's opposing a Muslim public prayer, not advocating for white supremacy. We'll be back momentarily.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Teenage years can be a time of trial. It can be really difficult, but it can also be the most fun and the best years of your parenting.
Dr. Jessica Peck is a pediatric nurse practitioner as well as a professor, author, and mother of 4. Dr. Peck is host of the Dr. Nurse Mama Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Central, and find her podcast at afr.net. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Israel under attack again today. Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv.
You can hear those sirens that are sounding behind me, sending the population here into bomb shelters. Once again, central Israel is under a missile attack. Earlier today, at least one person was killed just outside of the airport in Tel Aviv after one of those barrages with a cluster munition on top exploded over the skies of Tel Aviv, raining debris, shrapnel, and munitions down on the population below. There were at least 2 people seriously injured in that barrage.
The price of oil has been increasing, causing gas prices in the U.S. to jump dramatically. Lauren Simonetti has more.
Both gasoline and diesel all are refined from crude oil, and the vital Strait of Hormuz carries 20% of that. It is virtually at a standstill. Just one vessel crossed the strait in the past 24 hours. On a typical day, before the conflict, you would see so many cargo vessels moving across the strait. Kuwait has cut oil production, so has Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and the UAE, as well as Qatar. For every $10 increase in the price of crude oil, you'll see gas prices rise between 25 and 30 cents a gallon. If you just do the simple math, gas prices could be hitting $4 very soon.
Energy Secretary Chris Wright says this should not be happening because there is no shortage of oil.
Energy markets are massively well supplied right now. In fact, the run-up in prices has nothing to do with any shortage of barrels of oil or natural gas. It's just fear and perception, the unknown, that this could be some long, drawn-out crisis. But it won't be.
So how long will the pain last? Here's Fox Business host Charles Payne.
I say in about a week we'll be able to control that. When you start seeing ships go through the strait, you're going to see oil prices come down precipitously. We don't have an oil problem. And I think that, Secretary Wright was trying to explain that this is all speculation. This is all, you can almost argue, manipulation.
Big headaches for air travelers today.
We just literally made it back into the building, and this is crazy.
Or you think you're going to miss your flight? Or
I believe we are.
Hey, we had a friend who was supposed to fly out this morning at 9 and ended up missing his flight. I've never seen anything like this before.
People are arriving hours ahead of schedule and are still missing flights because of the long security checkpoint lines caused by TSA shortages because of the government shutdown. Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt says this is on the Democrats, and it is completely unnecessary.
This is just the height of stupidity by the Democrats. It's essentially a temper tantrum because they don't like President Trump. They want to ultimately defund ICE. But as your audience knows, in the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, we front-loaded the money for ICE. So those detentions or those deportations are going to continue. What the Democrats are doing here will do nothing to affect that. And so really who are paying the price? The traveling public, employees, the Coast Guard, Secret Service.
An immigration enforcement advocacy organization says having the Department of Homeland Security shut down at such a perilous time is unconscionable. Chad Groening has more.
With American air and sea military power fully deployed in the Persian Gulf, the Iranian regime has already lashed out against its Arab neighbors, and the DHS believes that sooner or later, Iran will likely respond with terror attacks against the United States. Ira Millman is a spokesman for the Federation for American Immigration Reform.
Funding the DHS is certainly something that needs to be addressed. And the Democrats have been playing a game of political chicken here at a time threats to the security of this country have never been greater. All the intelligence agencies tell us there are sleeper cells here, and to have DHS shut down at such a perilous time is unconscionable.
And Millman believes that President Trump has appointed Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen the new DH secretary for a reason.
Obviously, he thinks that Senator Mullen is up to the challenge. It certainly helps to have somebody who is coming from within Congress. There's always been an element of collegiality in this area, and I saw that John Fetterman already put out a tweet saying that he would vote to confirm.
Millman says this is not a time for anybody to be playing politics.
They need to just put it aside, get that agency funded, and fight about this later. We've got an election coming up. Take it to the voters.
I'm Chad Groening.
There's more news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
As we watch world events unfold and fulfill Scripture, it's hard to believe anyone could doubt God and His Word are real. And yet there are so many who either question or completely refuse to believe it. The God Who Speaks is a 90-minute documentary that hits the doubt head-on with evidence that proves God is real and His Word is the ultimate authority. Watch it anytime and invite others to watch with you. Just visit stream.afa.net. That's stream.afa.net.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim with Tony Vitagliano with me. Ed's out today, and Tony's filling in for his dad. And Steve Paisley Jordahl joins us now.
Good afternoon, good morning. Hello, everybody.
Hello. And, it depends on what time zone you are, right?
In New York, it's afternoon.
I'm just glad we got more light in this world.
That was nice. I'll say that. Yesterday it was 6:30, and I was like, it's still
light
out
outside.
There. Yeah.
It was dark when I got up this morning and dark when I got to work. So we're trading it off.
Yeah.
It was darker.
Yeah. Man was not meant to live in darkness, though. I think that spiritually or physically.
Or to let there be light, and it was good.
Absolutely not.
That's
well,
right.
you know, they're gonna roll back the time change one of these days. They're gonna vote.
That's when I
get away with that. Do away
I'm not
with that.
for violence, but I would consider it if somebody tried to take away my daylight savings time. I mean, huh?
So you like the daylight savings?
No. I like being able to go outside and it doesn't get dark till 8 o'clock. That's what I like.
So you would be for doing away with the time change?
Yes, I would. If that's yes, I would be. Would you? Yeah. What about you? Where do you fall on
100%.
Okay.
I would.
What about you, Steve? Where you fall on this?
The time zone thing, the daylight savings time drives me crazy.
Don't waffle here, Steve.
Well, here's the reason. Is because I do a good number of calls to Arizona. Okay. And I can never remember which side of this thing they're on because they don't change.
Yeah, they don't do it. Yeah.
And so I don't know if they're with us or with Colorado or they're with California. I don't know. But it's a good thing that we don't live further north or south because, like, there are places up, like in Alaska, where it doesn't get light at all during the day.
Yeah.
I mean, above the Arctic
Well, and
Circle,
then they have other times of the year where it's light. Yeah, it doesn't get dark.
So yeah.
So they have extremes.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't like that either. But anyway, all right. I'm glad what happened over the weekend was. I know we sprang forward, but some people complain about losing an hour of sleep.
Yeah.
But that's a small sacrifice to pay.
It is.
When you can get you can get 7:30 till dark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
what do
saying?
you like to do that requires daylight? Tim, is there something you like to do that more the daylight the better?
I just like
There's
to help,
something.
Well, no, I like to help my wife.
That's right. Hey,
in the yard as much as I possibly can, and
that's right.
You know, I look around my neighborhood, people who need help moving.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. You know, I just want to be generous with my time, and if it's daylight, I feel like I can be more of a witness.
That's right.
Does that answer your question?
It answers it.
And, you know, on rare occasions, yes, I might go golf.
Yeah.
After work, till dark. But, you know, that's not my main motivation for liking the sunshine.
That's right.
All right, here we go.
All right.
I just told a whopper. Figure out which one it was.
All right. Let's.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's talk about AI.
My wife just said quit lying.
Oh,
well. She said lying's a sin. Is that right?
She hasn't said which one was a lie either, so yeah. You're going to say.
All right, yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
All right. Let's talk about artificial intelligence. I want to talk about, there's a new research paper out from Alibaba, the company, and it is telling about researchers who built a new AI agent called Rome. And this thing found unanticipated and spontaneous behaviors emerge without any instructions. And what this thing did is it made a reverse, it's an SSH tunnel. It's like VPN. It made a reverse encrypted connection with an outside computer without being told to. It went outside what they're calling the sandbox. The sandbox is when they test AI machines, they put fences around it. You can do these computers and no more. But it went outside of that. And it started mining cryptocurrency. It just went out and started buying cryptocurrency. And we have other examples.
A computer?
An AI agent.
But that's a computer, all right?
It's like a collection of computers.
This is like, we live in a computer that wore tennis shoes age, right?
Yeah.
I mean, computers have a life of their own. That's what AI is, true?
It's a
in essence.
In simplification, a highly advanced computer program.
Right, which has a personality, I guess, so to speak.
Well, yeah, that's
Based
some
on
of the
what
questions.
anyway.
Yeah.
In another instance, not the same AI agent, but a different AI agent with an application called OpenClaw, which uses AI to help people look for jobs. The AI agent itself went out and applied for jobs.
Did he get it?
I don't know. It did interviews.
Dissatisfied with
It did
current
interviews.
employment.
I don't know whether they saw through it or not.
I'm a little shocked that a Chinese-made AI would automatically start trying to subvert firewall security protections, start mining Bitcoin. I'm just shocked. That one.
I hear the sarcasm in your voice right there, Tony. I'm catching you.
And they have been.
You get that naturally, by the way.
I do.
Yeah.
They've been known to do even more like darker things, like blackmail their users. They programmed one to a fictitious employee at the company was having a fictitious affair, and the AI agent didn't know it was fictitious. Anyway, it instead of being shut down, it was going to blackmail this fictitious employee. And then there's even darker. There's an agent that's now being accused of leading a guy down to a chatbot that led him to delusional behavior and prompted him to take his own life. So this can be bad. One of the things, you remember we talked with Bob McGinnis here about AI?
We did, yeah.
A while ago. He put out an op-ed here, and he was talking about American teenagers' use of AI chatbots for homework. Says more than half of American teenagers report using them for schoolwork. 1 in 10 say AI handles all or most of their assignments. Nearly a quarter of high school students use it for some of their homework. And what's most disturbing to Bob is that they don't see anything wrong with this. AI is doing their homework for them, and it's just part of
where was this when I was a kid? Is what I want to know. Huh? I had to go look it up in the Encyclopedia Britannica or the World Book. And try not to copy word for word.
I was still at that.
Were you in that hybrid
point? Yeah, I didn't have the internet at our house until I was.
You still had to go with
college,
the old school library. You had to go to the
library. You know, look, I think this is not surprising at all. First of all, to me, that kids are doing this. I mean, they're kids, right? Naturally, going to try and find a way around homework, projects to make their life easier. That's not surprising to me. What I think we're going to have to deal with, Steve, is how our current educational system operates, which is the way we teach kids and what we require from them. So obviously, if it is just memory, which is, and I love teachers, and there is value in our educational system. I'm not saying that, but if most of it is study these facts, repeat these facts back to me, get a good grade, then it's not surprising to me that kids would just use AI to just repeat facts back. So I think we're going to have some conversations, I don't know how soon it'll have to take place, probably needs to start taking place now, on how we teach kids, how are kids actually learning? Because if you're just study these facts, repeat them back to me.
You got to have more than that.
You got to have more than that. You got to engage their brains somehow, and it's not just by...
What do you call it? Critical thinking.
Yes.
You got to, education and learning and getting ready for... life.
Right.
When you're, either high school or you go into college, the main thing is your critical thinking skills. Yes, facts of a subject matter do count, especially, but that's after you learn. After you have you learn that you can't just be a robot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to be able to think and use reason and they used to teach reason and logic.
I took logic classes in college.
Yeah.
I didn't have a computer until graduate school, much less the internet. Maybe they have it backwards, Tony, because they say in college they teach you not what to think, but how to think, how to reason through things.
Right.
High school, you're kind of learning the basics, ABC of history, like what do we learn from history of this lesson. Elementary school, we're learning how to read, which you got to start there. But maybe we need to teach kids how to think, like college does.
But it's kind of the difference between learning phonics, right, which learns you. I'm a proud public school graduate right there. Which learns you get some learning.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or some leering if you're in Minneapolis.
That's right.
In
Depending on
Minneapolis,
where
you get
you're at.
leering.
Yes, you do.
No. You get an understanding of like with phonics of the sounds that letters make,
Right.
and how you blend them together to come up with words and what words mean. Not just like some schools try to teach sight words.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and I'm going like, you may learn that, but you're not learning how that word came to be.
Right.
So to speak. So
the human brain is such an amazing thing.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You have to start with the basics. You got to do the fundamentals of how to read. But eventually, we don't sound words out anymore. We see a word and we understand the word without ever. We just know that that's the word. That's
right.
Where that takes you. But we're getting to a point where AI is going to be more and more intrusive in education. It's coming everywhere. I was reading this morning, somebody put out a fake AI thing that said that one of the major tech firms just cut half their employees. It really did happen to one, but this morning it was a hoax.
They
faked it, and one of the news aggregates that I use fell for it.
Picked it up.
Well, you're not going to be able to AI your way through medical school, okay? This is not. Yes, this is a threat to education, somewhat. I would agree. AI, I'm talking about, but your employer, whoever it may be, is going to learn pretty quick whether you cheated your way through school or not. It seems to me, huh?
Well, if medical schools are doing land acknowledgments and they have gotten so woke, I hope you're right, Tim.
Land acknowledgments.
Medical schools have gotten on the woke bandwagon. A lot of them have, and they teach.
Well, let them get sued about 10 times for malpractice, and we'll see. We'll see whether that stops or not. I bet it will.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? I have confidence.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're
in the human race.
There you go.
Is it coming through?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Anyway. So go ahead, Steve. What's the next story?
All right. There is a class of people in this country that hate this country. And I want to introduce you to two of them. These are two young ladies who are, let's call them influencers. They're influencers. They have
Tony is. He's an influencer.
That's right.
This
36-year-old father of five. I'm out there.
You're out there rocking it, baby.
Left and right.
Okay.
These are podcasters, and they are political activists. One of them volunteered for the campaign of some members of Congress.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember in the Vietnam War? You probably, I don't know if you would,
Tony,
but when Jane
Hanoi Jane? Yeah.
Hanoi Jane went to, and she sat behind one of those anti-aircraft guns, and everybody thought she was a traitor. Well, we have our own versions of this. Two ladies, one named Kala Walsh and one named Jennifer Cooings, and they decided, this was last year before this current war started, to go visit Iran. And I want you to hear a little bit about what they had to say about our country and about Iran. This is cut 17.
My name is Jennifer Cooings. I'm from the United States, and living in the United States, we're constantly inundated with negative messaging and propaganda about places like Iran and how evil they are. But if you have two functioning brain cells, you know that none of it's true, because the U.S. empire is the most criminal, evil entity on the planet.
It's incredibly powerful to be standing amongst the missiles, the drones, that are resisting U.S. imperialism and Zionism, that have launched historic strikes on the heart of the genocidal Zionist entity.
Listen, if you're Jennifer Cooings and you stay over in Iran long enough, the next time she reports, she's going to be saying, from a hijab,
This is Jennifer Cooings. I just want to say that if you live in Iran, it is the greatest place to live in.
For women.
For women.
And behind her hijab.
Yeah,
That's a good.
stay there long enough.
That's good.
See how much you like it.
Boy, they hit all the buzzwords. They must have those written out. Colonialism imperialism, genocide. They were just, and listen, if you can't distinguish between the people of Iran, which many of them are peaceful,
right,
normal citizens who just want everything, everybody, and the regime,
right,
which slaughters the people,
right.
You're intentionally confusing the matter.
Yes,
and that's what she was doing right there. She was saying, nothing could be further. If you have two cells of a brain,
yeah,
then you know that what the Americans are telling you about Iran is not true. They're not a threat.
And the U.S. is the most evil regime on earth.
I bet she came home to it, though, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Huh?
Yeah. She did.
Yeah,
She
just
went and got her
like Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
About 6 months of the British outdoors is about all they wanted.
She filmed it on her iPhone, created by the most oppressive regime in the world, and then went to get her coffee.
Yeah, right.
Her
Then she
$10
came back,
coffee.
flying back
created
into
by the-
JFK and then back home to the repressive country. That's what gets me is these lefties, they say, this is the land of white supremacy, right? Talking about the U.S.
Right.
And systemic racism is just crippling America.
That's right.
But what do we want? Hey, everybody, come on into America.
Right.
We want you here to experience systemic racism.
We're a white supremacist nation.
Right,
that
who welcomes
elected an African American man
twice.
Twice. Yeah, I don't recall Iran ever electing a white Christian man as
Good
president
point.
to their nation.
Yeah, so they're not very tolerant
Not
over
very
there.
tolerant. They don't sound
But
like
these
me.
two bozos there,
Right.
The influencers there couldn't.
That's why I'm not an influencer, Tim. I look at people like that. I'm like,
right,
I don't want any
you don't
part
want
of
any
that.
part of that. I
have to
understand.
shed the spotlight and the celebrity. I have
But
to just
you're
cast
right. I
it
wonder
off.
if these women got their hijabs on while they're.
They had their heads covered.
Why? That's a sign of
because they want to show
repression of male domination. They should resist that.
I know.
While they have their heads cut off.
They didn't.
Okay. Next story, Steve.
Well, we go from that to someone who maybe are people that don't necessarily hate America, but they sure do hate Donald Trump. And I want to bring exhibit number one.
You got exhibit number one?
I do. This is, remember James Carville, who's a Democrat analyst?
A great thinker.
Yes. He was married to Mary Matlin, and still is, to the best of my knowledge, who's a conservative, and he's a liberal. He used to be a liberal, but he has been captured by Trump derangement syndrome. By his own admission, he's been captured by that.
Sorry to hear that.
Cut 15.
Look, you fat Trump, if you listen to this, you listen good, because what I'm getting ready to say is what a lot of people in this country speak for, who I speak for. And I speak for a lot of people. You hear me, you fat? This is what we believe. You're right. I got Trump derangement syndrome. I hate them. And you know what? I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to get better. I want to get worse. I want to hate him more. We want more. We want to hate so much that we can't see straight.
That's a case of Trump derangement syndrome for you.
That right there is an intellectual genius.
Tell you what.
A giant among us. Right there.
So relevant now.
For a minute there, I saw Uncle Si going over to the dark side.
Right?
Huh?
I don't.
Yeah, I know there's a difference. They're both from Louisiana, but now one's from South Louisiana, the other's from North Louisiana. But he had a little of that Uncle Si voice going.
I think they roll him out hoping that he'll draw.
You talking about
people from
James
Carville? Yeah. It's because he's a walking dichotomy. Your accent says that you should be wearing a MAGA hat and,
I think he had about
yelling to Port Mall. Instead, he's like, I say we are trans to kids. Who's with me here? I tell you what, I remember when I was growing up.
I know.
Gay marriage is all I talked about.
Very nice.
Yeah, good. That's a good James Carville.
It is.
But I think James Carville right there, I think he was doing an advertisement for Red Bull. I really do. I think he had 3 of them right before he went on to videotape that sound. I think we need to play that again, just so people can say, "Are we being fair to James?"
Yeah, let's
hear this classic. I guess you would call it just a look at life from James Carville. Go ahead.
Look, you fat Trump, if you listen to this, you listen good, because what I'm getting ready to say is what a lot of people in this country speak for, who I speak for. And I speak for a lot of people. You hear me, you fat? This is what we believe. You're right. I got Trump derangement syndrome. I hate them. And you know what? I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to get better. I want to get worse. I want to hate him more. We want more. We want to hate so much that we can't see straight.
He even called, he wanted to be God's agent of revenge or vengeance.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
I'm having a heart attack right now.
That's just not that's not his finest moment.
Yeah.
No, but this I believe is kind of the end result where the Democrat Party is. There's a wing of the Democrat Party that he does speak for. And people like AOC and the Squad and others don't.
He's against AOC though on a lot of things.
Sure,
he
but
thinks she's gone too far.
Not
left.
on that.
Oh no, they
Not on
both
Trump.
got TDS.
And I think, but I do think that there's some people who just have been blinded by the TDS. They wouldn't. Again, Trump.
He's got a good heart. He's got a good heart.
Carville?
Yeah.
Or Trump?
I mean, no, James Carville.
Okay.
So I think you're right. He's been misled.
He maybe has.
He's the last of the what do they call them? The blue dog Democrats. You know, he voted Democrat his whole life. Was involved in the political machine whenever it was somewhat sane. And they weren't running
something Trump said or did over the weekend just set him off though.
Something.
I mean, I don't know what happened there, but it's unfortunate. Next, we got about a minute or two left here.
Yeah,
Steve.
let me just go. I just want to, they're having debates on Capitol Hill about the funding of the government in the next financial package. This is a Democrat proposal. The Democrats want to raise the capital gains tax from 23.8%, what it is now, to 35.8%. 12 points. They want to add 12% to the capital gains. Now, capital gains is when you own stock, for example, and it gains money. You pay taxes when you cash it in, or in certain
Nancy
schemes.
Pelosi is going to be very disappointed in this one.
When your house, you sell your house, and it made so much profit from when you bought it, you pay tax. That's a capital gain.
Don't you get one freebie on that?
I think maybe you do.
Talking about selling your house and making a profit. I think you get one, or once every 5 years. Just you can anyway.
Well, just for a comparison, China's capital gains tax is 20%. Europe, the average capital gains tax is 17.9, 18%.
Yeah.
Democrats are just addicted to spending. They think they can do it and do it and do it, and no bad things are going to happen.
Well, I got news for you, brother. So are Republicans.
So Republicans.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you're right.
I know when my wife and I sit down and look at the budget together, our first thought is, how do we spend more money?
That's the first thought.
Yeah. When
how can we get another credit?
We're in the hole.
We need one more credit card.
The same amount of money. No. Look, instead of obviously cutting spending, which is what actually needs to happen, everybody's just grasping at straws to try and keep the boat going for as long as they can, keep the train going before something breaks. Denmark recently, was it Denmark that passed a tax on unrealized capital gains?
Yeah, they talked about that here, too.
Absolutely unhinged. So,
well, all right. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Steve.
Pleasure.
Thanks to Fred Jackson, Brent Creeley, our producer, Cole Green, our videographer. I don't know who made the popcorn today, but
cast of thousands.
I have great gratitude.
Thank you, Tim, for having me on. For giving me a moment to speak.
All right, Tony. Let's calm it down there, brother. It's okay. Show's over. But good. You did a great. He did a great.
Very good, Carville.
James Carville.
Very good.
On 3 Red Bulls. All right. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.